Welcome back. Now, some might be like, is this possible? This is not possible. Well, we are back once again where we used to be on certain events that are strange and it could be like a shocker to some people. So we have monarchs in Nigeria, we have first class kings, and we have chiefs that have been kind of giving this kind of class captain kind of effect, that kind of feel. Those are the types that will bow when OONI of IFE is seated. Now, there are cultural, traditional debate, argument on who is superior. Is it Alaafin of your OONI of IFE or OLUWO? Who is this? Who is that? Or is it Oba of Eko and all of that? Well, we have another king who is bold and very vocal. His name is Emperor. He likes to call himself Emperor. Emperor is simply king, emperor. Like his name is Emperor Telu OLUWO of IWO. Now, when I say OLUWO of IWO, I'm sure many of you know who he is. Some don't like him. They want him to constantly be a custodian of deities, like the worship of Ogun, and custodian of Ifa. Like, he said no. And he gave reasons why he will not. Now, he has dropped a bombshell on OONI of IFE. Now, this has nothing to do with OLUWO dancing. Put it on jean and put it on his crown. No, this is more deeper. Recall that OLUWO was married to a lady who is also a melanated person, meaning brown skin, all the way from Canada. She's Canadian, African, Jamaican, if you know what I mean. So somehow they got to meet, they met themselves, not in Canada. OLUWO is also a Canadian, not in Canada. They met themselves in the Nigeria of IWO land. How they met is sinister, according to, like a mystery. Let us hear from OLUWO, and then we'll break this down. Hell is about to break loose.
This message is for Nigerians, most especially the Yorubas. I'm saying this because I want other Nigerians to know. When I get on the throne, we see me talking about this OONI Adeyeye. You will see me talking about what you don't know. I will tell you today. The governor of Osun State, commissioners, and all. This I helped OONI Adeyeye, but because Ongbe Orisha law, he was holding Orisha as and me, God has put me as above Orishas, as a king. Well, let's look at it. And because of that, as a kingmaker or somebody that helps a king to become the king that I was, he doesn't want me to say the story in the future. He was looking for my downfall. Then the next thing, they packaged a woman. It was a woman that was packaged for me, but I don't know her from Canada. But it was packaged for me, it was a setup. After they set me up, they were talking to her in our own AI. She was in my house and they were talking to her and setting me up. Setting up with videos, setting up with many things. This wife will be this supposedly wife, an ex-wife. Well, it was dead. They sent me to my house and they were communicating with her. She was there for over 3 years. She had a child, which I don't even know if it's my child now. I have to confirm that through DNA. Because They want her to kill me. She poisoned me 2 times. They set up assassination attempt. They did everything so that maybe the Orisha or the gods will kill me. But they failed. After I kicked this woman, when I found out the secret and I kicked this woman out, it was this Ooni Adeyeye Enitongunwusi that asked him, what was the lady doing with him in the hotel? I won't mention the hotel, but when there's clarification, I will be mentioning. I'm also kí ni ẹ ń ṣe ní hòtẹ́ẹ̀lì papọ̀ lẹ́yìn ìgbà tó òun náà lọ gbalé fún òun náà lọ gbalé fún àtọmọ àtìyàwó ní Ọọ̀ni Adéyẹyè Ògúnwùsì. Ẹ wá ní mò ń sọ̀rọ̀ tó bá jẹ́wọ́ ni ìyàwó tó fẹ́ pàwọ̀ ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá o tó bá jẹ́wọ́ ni tó bá jẹ́yìn ni ìyàwó tí wọ́n sẹ́ẹ̀tì sínú ilé ẹ̀ tó wá pa ọ́ tí ò rí ọ pa. Ìjà yóò lè tán láti máa bá lọ èmi ò sì ṣe é pa ọba aṣoògùn títí òrìṣà ọtán Ṣàngó ò lè pè mí bàbá mi lòrìṣà bàbá mi ní Ṣàngó bàbá ńlá mi ṣùgbọ́n ọmọ gbọ́dọ̀ ju bàbá náà lọ mo ti dọ́ba lénìí Ṣàngó ò lè pa mí Ṣàngó is a criminal Ògún ò lè pa mí Ògún is a criminal àwọn bàbá ńlá wa ni they are not criminals. So they won't be killing their children. Ògún àti Ṣàngó ìpààyàn Ọlọ́run ọba Olódùmarè nìkan lọ́mọ gbàtẹ́ yẹn. Kọ́ máa gbógun tò kọ́ máa ṣe ogun ẹ̀ wọ́n ní Ọọ̀ni ó suspend mi Ọọ̀ni lè suspend èmi lọ́ba paramount ruler ó suspend another paramount ruler. So ojú mi lọ ní àgbáwò àbó fi po jù mí lọ yamba sẹ́ẹ̀tì 1 2 3 ní Ọ̀ṣun kò ṣe pé àwọn paramount rulers wọn ò kàn lè kó gbogbo wa sí number 1 ní àwọn tá a jẹ́ náà paramount rulers. So kó ń kálukú lọ mọ pé n ti ń bẹ lẹ́yìn ọ̀fà ó jòjì lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ṣe bí sí mi níjọ lẹ́yìn nígbà òun ṣéun àmọ́ wò ó níjọ iwájú àwọ̀ wà máa sọ gbogbo ohun tí wọ́n ti ṣe ìlà ń sọ yìí yóò dáa fún yín ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn ilé ṣùgbọ́n tó bá jẹ́wọ́ ni ṣé wọ́n gbà rẹ̀ àbí òun náà ní ẹjọ́ ń lọ ní ẹjọ́ ń gbé ní ẹjọ́ ń ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀.
Welcome back. Now, I am so glad that freedom of expression and freedom after expression is guaranteed for certain persons like OLUWO. I know that Ooni of Ife can, if he wants to, initiate legal action. He could say this is defamation of character. I do not know this. And I think OLUWO is ready for this. He might not have that kind of resources, financial resources. He said he doesn't sell land and he doesn't do this and that he will never do that. Of course, we know certain kings that are enriching themselves this way. They have enriched themselves by selling land, drilling gold, and seeking for certain government contracts and all of that. He said, no, he will not engage himself in this. Oluwo of Iwo is a Muslim, and certain people are not comfortable with it. They said Islam is a religion that is alien and strange. And he said, no, Islam is not. He said that Oduduwa cannot have birthed everybody in Yoruba land today, the southwest of Nigeria. And also, he said that how come those that are worshipping Ogun or worshipping whatever, every of these data, how come they are not worshipping Oduduwa? How come there is no shrine of Oduduwa where you go and worship Oduduwa? Why is Oduduwa not worshipped? He said this is pure fallacy and that there is one God, and that God, he wants to worship it in the line of Islam, and that is what he wants to do in where he is king over. He said a king is a king and nobody can dictate to a king. That is what makes him king. That a king can change rules. Of course, that is true. He said kings can change rules. King can decide on whatever they choose to do. That whenever a king is now put under rules and regulation, then he is no longer a king. That a king can wield power in whatever direction. That is what makes him king. He said he will not allow any form of worship that is not the worship of the true creator, Allah, Olodumare, Chineke, Chukwu, God, Jehovah. He said there is nothing like Ogun. How can you worship Oluwo of Iwo or worship him if, let's say, it goes by Telu and it goes by Oluwo of Iwo? He has his own name. He said, imagine if he doesn't even bear Rasak or Rashidi or any name, is any Arabic name. If he bears Adegoke or Ade Toktumbo, Ade something, he said, imagine someone wakes up and then begins to worship him. Like, it doesn't make sense to him. So he said he is no longer part of this and he will never be part of this. And he spoke at length. I took time to follow the story of Oluwo of Iwo, how he started life, in fact, how he traveled and the battles that he faced as a young person before he got out of Nigeria and found himself in Germany, ended up in Canada, how he went through that journey. He talked at length. In fact, there was a time he attended a crusade, open air crusade, where a prophet or a minister, he said, this person is my friend and we've prayed together. I even talked about how he used to spend time in white garment. There's this white garment church that was trending in those days. I think it's called Selika or something. It's like a kind of refined Sele / something else. He spent time there because he was being attacked by certain people who probably believed that he might end up becoming king or something. Then, when he traveled abroad, they asked certain questions. They said, oh, are you the one that the IFE picked or you are a political king? Now, he said, what are the criteria of becoming a king? I will still go back to what he has just talked about this accusation. I just want to give you a little bit of background of who this man is. He said, what are the criteria of becoming a king? First, you have to be born a prince, meaning your father or fathers must have been kings, or you must come from a ruling family. He said, am I from a royal family? Are my ancestors king? Did they become king at one time in their life? Of course, everybody confirmed and say yes. He said, now, do I have the right to mount that throne? He said, back in those days, do you know that people unalive each other, like prince from different families, unalive each other just for one person to become one? He said, most of the times, if oracles are consulted, the oracle will see that crown on the head of everyone. Now, it now depends on how you, as a person, individual, how you want to walk your own kingship. How do you want to walk your ascent to the throne? That's what he said. He said, forget all of these stories. The majority don't know how things work. You're just hearing stories. You're not even a prince to know the inner carcass, to know how things work. He said, whenever there is an opening for a king to be installed, every prince will be running right, left, and center to make sure, either through bribing of one deity or invoking or calling or being introduced to another deity that is stronger, that can help them. It's all about a show of power. That is what he said. And he is in Canada, and I observed that the present politicians, they prefer people who are in the diaspora, who have understanding of how things work abroad, to become kings, rather than some local king. I mean, kings that are domiciled, princes that are domiciled in the country, rather than, like they wanted those that they believe have somehow they have understanding of how other things work in other climes. So they really didn't want to. That's what birthed the likes of OONI, of IFE, and of course how Elegushi or Belegushi was upgraded. These are not kings. These are chiefs that were upgraded, and it's not a crime. Most of the kings that people pay homage to, some of them too were chiefs that were many years back upgraded to be kings. So it's not like it's a big issue if a particular lineage or house is upgraded to be king. There is now left for whoever. So the thing is that he has always challenged Ooni of Ife ever since he has he got on that throne. He went back to history and he said, "This land that I am in, we all came from where this Ooni." In fact, he said he has more right to be king in the same space where Ooni of Ife is king. That Ooni of Ife should not ever walk around and act like he's the father and king of anybody. That we are all equal kings, because you cannot be bigger than me if we are from the same father, if we are from the same lineage, from the same father, and I have been sent to go and dominate. For example, you are prince, prince, a lot of them, you have this number of prince in a particular space, and then of course they want to expand. They said, okay, they consult the oracle, we want to expand, or the oracle asked them to expand according to him, that the oracle said they need to expand, and the oracle said, move. That is his own ancestors had to move from where the Ooni of Ife is, move to this location, to this space where there are birds, this kind of birds with colorful this and that. When you get to that place, you see a lot of birds settled there. That's where you need to settle. He talked about it. So he has always had this issue with Ooni of Ife. And people have said both of them are guy men, meaning they were into certain kind of vices abroad before they landed. So they know their ways. He said that they set him up with that lady trying to destroy him and all of that. And he is telling the public all of this. I don't know what he wants to do. It is what it is.